Part 1. First Contact Gone Wrong. The morning air on Viridian 7 smelled like honey and rain, even though it never rained. Hyunwoo walked through the thick purple grass, his boots making soft crunching sounds. Behind him, Barum bounced around like puppies do, chasing flying insects that glowed blue in the sunlight. The golden retriever had been Hyunwoo's best friend for 5 years, and bringing him to this alien planet was the best decision he ever made. Hyunwoo was a scientist who studied alien animals. He worked for the human colony that landed on this planet 6 months ago. Every day, he went into the forest to look at new creatures and plants. Today felt like any other day, but it would change everything. The forest here was strange and beautiful. Trees grew as tall as skyscrapers back on Earth, their leaves shimmering with colors that had no names. Some plants moved when you walked past them. Others sang little humming sounds when the wind blew. Hyunwoo loved this place. It reminded him that the universe was bigger and more wonderful than anyone could imagine. Barum barked suddenly, running ahead toward a cluster of glowing vines. Hyunwoo followed, pushing aside large fern-like plants. That's when he heard it, a sound like someone crying but not quite human. It was higher, more musical, filled with pain and fear. He rushed forward and stopped dead in his tracks. There, tangled in thick bioluminescent vines that pulsed with green light, was a creature he had never seen before. It looked a bit like a raccoon from Earth, but much bigger, almost 4 feet tall when standing. Its fur was amazing, shifting colors from silver to purple to blue like oil on water. The creature had 6 fingers on each paw, and a long tail covered in crystal-like growths that sparkled even in the dim forest light. But what caught Hyunwoo's attention most were its eyes. Large, amber-colored, and full of intelligence. The creature looked right at him, and Hyunwoo felt something in his chest tighten. This wasn't just an animal. This was someone. The creature struggled against the vines, which seemed to be getting tighter. Hyunwoo could see blood, or something like blood. It was more purple than red, staining the beautiful fur. Without thinking, he pulled out his cutting tool and started slicing through the vines. His communicator buzzed. It was Jisoo, his research partner. "Hyunwoo, where are you? You missed the morning briefing." "I found something," he said, still cutting. "Something incredible." "What kind of something?" Jisoo asked, her voice suspicious. She knew him too well. "The kind that needs help," he replied and turned off the communicator. Barum sat nearby, watching the creature with his head tilted to one side. Usually the dog barked at new animals, but now he just stared, his tail wagging slowly. The creature noticed the dog too, its color shifting to a lighter shade of blue. After 10 minutes of careful cutting, the creature was free. It stumbled and Hyunwoo caught it before it fell. The creature was heavy and warm, its fur incredibly soft. It made a small chirping sound and looked up at him. Then something amazing happened. The crystals on its tail began to glow softly, and Hyunwoo felt a wave of calm wash over him. It was like the creature was saying thank you. "I'm taking you somewhere safe," Hyunwoo whispered. He knew he was breaking rules. Any new creature was supposed to go straight to the quarantine lab. Scientists needed to study it, make sure it wasn't dangerous, check for diseases. But looking into those intelligent eyes, Hyunwoo couldn't do it. This creature needed kindness, not a cage. He carried the creature back to his habitat module with Barum following closely. The dog kept looking up at the creature, whining softly. The colony was a collection of white dome-shaped buildings arranged in a circle. Hyunwoo's home was on the outer edge, which was perfect. Fewer people to see him smuggling an alien inside. Once in his quarters, Hyunwoo laid the creature on his couch and started treating its wounds. The cuts weren't too deep, but they needed cleaning. The creature sat still, watching him work with those unnerving, intelligent eyes. Hyunwoo decided to call it Dari, which meant moon in Korean because of those glowing tail crystals. That's when things got weird. Barum approached Dari slowly, his whole body wiggling with excitement. But instead of his usual friendly sniffing, the dog did something strange. He dropped down on his belly, crawled forward, and started making high-pitched puppy sounds. It was the kind of sound baby dogs make when they want attention from their mother. Dari tilted its head, watching the dog. Then it reached out one 6-fingered paw and gently touched Barum's head. The dog went crazy with joy, rolling on his back, paws in the air, making happy whining sounds. It was exactly how puppies act around their mothers. Hyunwoo watched in amazement. In 5 years, he had never seen Barum act like this. The dog was well-trained, calm, and mature. But now he looked like a 3-month-old puppy. The next 2 days were even stranger. Baram refused to leave Dari's side. When Hyunwoo tried to take the dog for his normal walk, Baram sat down and wouldn't move, staring at the door where Dari waited inside. The dog stopped eating his favorite food unless Dari was nearby. He brought all his toys to the creature, dropping them at Dari's feet like offerings. Most disturbing, Baram started making sounds he'd never made before. He tried to copy Dari's chirping and clicking noises, his throat making awkward attempts at alien speech. It would have been funny if it wasn't so concerning. Jisoo visited on the second day and stood in the doorway with her mouth open. "What is that? And why does your dog think it's his mother?" "This is Dari," Hyunwoo said. "And I have no idea." Jisoo was a good friend, but she was also a scientist. "You know Taeyang is going to lose his mind when he finds out about this, right?" Taeyang was the colony administrator, the person in charge of making sure everyone followed the rules. He was not going to be happy. "Just give me a few more days," Hyunwoo begged. "I need to understand what's happening. This creature is intelligent, Jisoo, really intelligent, and something about it is affecting Baram." Jisoo studied Dari, who watched them both with calm interest. The creature was healing fast. The wounds were almost gone. It had figured out how to open Hyunwoo's food storage and had been eating fruit. It even learned how to use the bathroom facilities by watching Hyunwoo. That level of learning was incredible. 3 days, Jisoo said. "Then I have to report this. It's not safe keeping an unknown alien in your home." That night, Hyunwoo couldn't sleep. He watched Baram and Dari curled up together on the couch. The dog's head rested on Dari's chest, and Dari's tail was wrapped around Baram like a blanket, the crystals glowing softly in the darkness. They looked peaceful, like a family. On the morning of the third day, Taeyang appeared at Hyunwoo's door with 2 security officers. Someone had reported seeing strange lights from his window. The administrator's face was red with anger. "You brought an unquarantined alien life form into the colony?" Taeyang's voice was dangerously quiet. "Do you understand how many protocols you've broken?" Hyunwoo tried to explain, but Taeyang held up his hand. "The creature goes to the xenobiology containment facility. Now, today. You have 24 hours to prepare it for transfer, or I'm removing you from the colony entirely." After they left, Hyunwoo sat down heavily. Baram was pressed against Dari, whining. The creature's fur had turned dark gray, the color of storm clouds. Somehow Dari understood what was coming. Hyunwoo had 1 day to figure out what to do. 1 day to save his dog's strange alien mother. 1 day to prove that some rules were worth breaking. Part 2. Understanding the bond, Hyunwoo didn't sleep that night. He sat at his desk, surrounded by screens showing data about Dari. Jisoo had come over to help, bringing equipment from her lab. If they only had 24 hours, they needed to learn everything possible about this creature. Baram lay on the floor between Dari and the door, like a guard. Every few minutes he would look up at Dari, then at Hyunwoo, as if asking them to fix this problem. The dog knew something bad was coming. Jisoo set up scanners around Dari, who sat very still and watched everything. The creature seemed to understand they were trying to help. "Look at this," Jisoo said, pointing at her screen. "Those crystals on its tail are giving off electromagnetic waves." "What kind of waves?" Hyunwoo moved closer to look. "The same frequency that affects mammal brains, specifically the part that controls bonding and attachment." Jisoo tapped more buttons. "It's like the feeling you get when you hug someone you love." "Dari's crystals make that feeling." Hyunwoo felt his stomach drop. "So Baram loves Dari because of brain chemicals? It's not real?" But even as he said it, he knew that wasn't quite right. He watched Baram gently lick Dari's paw. The dog's eyes were full of devotion, yes, but also trust and comfort. Maybe the crystals started the bond, but what he saw now looked real. Jisoo seemed to read his thoughts. "The waves might have helped create the bond faster, but look at them. That's real affection. I think Dari's species evolved this ability to make friends with other animals. It's a survival trait. That made sense. On a planet full of dangerous creatures, being able to make allies would keep you alive. But it also meant something beautiful. Dari's people had evolved to love across species boundaries. They were natural bridge builders." Hyunwoo was about to say something when alarms started blaring. His communicator erupted with noise. "All personnel, lockdown in effect. Unidentified creature spotted in Sector 3. "That's impossible," Hyunwoo said. "Dari is right here." Then he understood. There were more of them. Before he could move, Dari leaped up and ran to the door, making urgent clicking sounds. Barum followed immediately. The creature's fur had turned bright red, the color of alarm and fear. Wait. Hyunwoo grabbed his jacket and scanner. We're coming with you. Jisoo stared at him. Are you crazy? There's a lockdown. Dari knows something. Look at it. The creature was scratching at the door, desperate to get out. I'm not letting them face this alone. Jisoo grabbed her own equipment. I'm coming too. Someone needs to keep you from doing something completely stupid. They snuck out through the back paths of the colony, avoiding security patrols. Dari led the way with Barum right beside it, moving through the purple grass like they had done this 100 times before. Hyunwoo and Jisoo struggled to keep up. The forest welcomed them back with its strange beauty. But tonight something felt wrong. The singing plants were silent. The glowing insects had disappeared. Even the air felt heavy and afraid. They walked for 2 hours, going deeper into areas no human had explored. Dari never hesitated, always knowing which way to go. Barum trotted along, looking up at the creature every few minutes as if to say, I'm here, Mom, I'll protect you. Finally, they reached a clearing filled with enormous trees that glowed blue from the inside. Their trunks were hollow, and Hyunwoo could see structures built inside them, platforms, bridges, storage areas. This was a village, Dari's village, but something terrible had happened here. The platforms were broken, storage containers lay smashed on the ground, and there were no adults anywhere. Only small shapes hiding in the high branches, young Dari-like creatures, maybe 20 or 30 of them, too scared to come down. Oh no, Jisoo whispered. Where are the adults? Dari's crystals flashed with different colors, red, purple, black. The creature made a long, sad sound that needed no translation. The adults were gone. Barum whined and pressed against Dari's leg. The small creatures in the trees chirped back, their voices frightened and lost. Slowly, Hyunwoo began to understand. Dari hadn't been hurt by accident. Dari had been running, trying to escape from something, and that something had destroyed this village. We need to help them, Hyunwoo said. Help them how? Jisoo looked around nervously. We don't even know what attacked them. That's when they heard it. A deep humming sound like giant machines. The trees started shaking. Barum growled, the hair on his back standing up. Dari pushed the dog behind itself, standing in a protective stance. Through the trees came something that made Hyunwoo's blood run cold. They were machines, but not like any human technology. These were old, covered in strange symbols made of metal that seemed to eat light. They moved on multiple legs, each one as big as a car. On their fronts were cutting tools and collection containers. Harvesters, Jisoo breathed. Automated mining drones. But these aren't ours. The machines moved toward the trees where the young creatures hid. Their sensors glowed red as they scanned the area. One machine reached up with a massive claw toward a branch where 3 young ones huddled together. Dari screamed, a sound of pure rage and terror, and ran forward. The creature leaped onto the machine, its 6 fingers finding gaps in the metal, pulling at wires. The machine shook, trying to throw Dari off. Barum didn't hesitate. The dog ran forward and bit down on one of the machine's legs, growling and pulling. Hyunwoo had never seen his gentle dog act so fierce. Do something, he yelled at Jisoo. Jisoo pulled out her communicator. Taeyang, this is Jisoo. We need emergency backup in the deep forest, coordinates following. We have hostile machines and civilian casualties. Are you insane? Taeyang's voice crackled through. You're both supposed to be in your quarters. Send help or these creatures die. Jisoo screamed. Hyunwoo grabbed a fallen branch and started hitting the machine, knowing it was useless but unable to just watch. The machine knocked him aside easily, and he crashed into a tree, pain exploding in his shoulder. Through blurry vision, he saw Barum still fighting, still biting, still refusing to give up. He saw Dari clinging to the machine's back, and he saw the young creatures in the trees watching with wide, terrified eyes. Then something changed. The young ones started to glow. All their tail crystals lit up at once, pulsing together in the same rhythm. The electromagnetic wave that came from them was powerful enough that even Hyunwoo could feel it. A pulse of pure fear and desperation that made his head spin. The machine stopped. Its lights flickered. For just a moment it seemed confused. That's when the rescue team arrived. 4 vehicles burst into the clearing, and security officers jumped out with weapons. Hyunha, the security chief, took one look at the situation and started shouting orders. Get those civilians to safety. Target the machine's leg joints. The fight lasted 10 minutes but felt like hours. The humans' weapons damaged 2 machines enough to make them retreat. The third one got away into the forest, its humming fading into the distance. In the silence that followed, Dari dropped from the broken machine and collapsed. Baram ran to it immediately, licking its face and whining. The creature's fur had turned pale gray, almost white. It was exhausted. The young creatures started coming down from the trees. They gathered around Dari, making soft chirping sounds. Hyunwoo realized they were checking if Dari was okay. This was family. Dari was trying to protect the only family it had left. Yoon-ha walked over, her face hard. Someone want to explain what's happening here? It's a long story, Hyunwoo said, wincing as pain shot through his shoulder. But the short version is, we just found refugees who need our help. Yoon-ha looked at the young creatures, then at Dari and Baram curled up together, then back at Hyunwoo. Taeyang is going to kill you. Yeah, Hyunwoo agreed. But first, we need to get these kids somewhere safe. Jisoo was already scanning the damaged machines. These things are old. Really old. Pre-human space travel old. And they're programmed to harvest specific minerals. She pointed at Dari's tail crystals. Minerals like those. Understanding hit Hyunwoo like a punch. The machines had killed the adults for their crystals. They were mining equipment doing what they were programmed to do centuries ago. Not understanding they were destroying intelligent life. We need to take them all back to the colony, he said. All of them? Chunha looked at the 30 young creatures. All of them. Would you leave children here to die? After a long moment, Yoonha nodded. Load them up. But Taeyang is definitely going to kill you. As they prepared to leave, Hyunwoo watched Baram with Dari. The young creatures had gathered around them both, and Baram was letting them sniff him, his tail wagging despite the danger they'd just faced. The dog looked at Hyunwoo as if to say, these are my family now too. Hyunwoo smiled despite everything. His dog had found a mother in an alien, and now that mother had 30 children who needed protecting, things were about to get very complicated. Part 3, The Truth About Dari. The colony meeting hall had never been so full or so loud. Every colonist who could walk was there, and most of them were angry. Hyunwoo stood at the front with Jisoo, facing a crowd that wanted answers. Behind them, through a clear wall, 30 young aliens huddled together in a temporary shelter. Dari sat at the center of the group with Baram pressed against its side. You brought dangerous aliens into our home, someone shouted. Those machines followed them here, yelled another. Taeyang stood up, trying to calm everyone down. Please, let's discuss this rationally. But rational was hard when people were scared. The young creatures looked terrifying to some colonists. They were big, with sharp claws and teeth. Their color-changing fur was beautiful but also strange and unsettling. Most importantly, everyone had heard about the electromagnetic waves they produced. Some people thought the creatures could control minds. Yoonha stepped forward. She had bandages on her arm from the fight in the forest. I was wrong about these creatures. I thought they were dangerous. But I watched them in that forest and I saw what they really are. Kids who lost everything. Kids with mind control powers, someone muttered. Jisoo pulled up data on the big screen. The electromagnetic waves don't control minds. They create feelings of bonding and trust, yes, but they can't make you do anything you don't want to do. Think of it like music that makes you feel peaceful. It's still your choice how to act. What about that dog? A woman pointed at Baram. He acts like a puppy around that thing. Hyunwoo had been quiet, but now he spoke. Baram bonded with Dari because Dari needed someone. The waves help them connect, but the love they share is real. I've watched them for days now. Dari protects Baram, teaches him, cares for him, and Baram gives Dari something to fight for. It's not mind control, it's family. The room went quiet for a moment. Then an older man stood up. But those machines, if these creatures stay, won't more machines come? Maybe, Hyunwoo admitted. But would you rather we throw these children back into the forest to face those machines alone? We're human. We're supposed to be better than that. Taeyang cleared his throat. The real question is, what are we going to do about those harvesters? They're still out there, and they've identified this area as containing valuable resources. A security officer brought up tactical information. We counted at least 15 more machines in the deep forest. They're slow, but they're tough. Our weapons can damage them, but it takes time and ammunition we don't have much of. Can we reprogram them? Someone asked. Jisoo shook her head. They're too old. The programming language is something no one has seen in hundreds of years. We'd have better luck destroying them. Or, said a quiet voice from the back, we could confuse them. Everyone turned. It was Do-Yun, a young engineer who usually never spoke in meetings. He looked nervous but continued. The machines use sensors to identify valuable materials. What if we could make them think the valuable materials are somewhere else? A lure, Jisoo said, understanding. Using the plants here that naturally produce similar electromagnetic signatures, we could amplify the signal and draw the machines away. Excited murmurs filled the room. This could work. But Tae-yang raised a hand. Even if we lure them away, we can't keep doing it forever. Eventually, we'd run out of resources for the lure. We need a permanent solution. Then we destroy them, Yunha said. We lure them to one place and hit them all at once. But that means going back into that forest with a team large enough to handle 15 machines. I'll go, Hyunwoo said immediately. Me too, added Jisoo. More voices joined in. Despite their fear, the colonists were ready to fight. It was one thing to be scared of the unknown. It was another to stand by and let children be slaughtered by mindless machines. But Do-Yun spoke again. There's something else. The young one's electromagnetic pulse, when they all did it together in the forest, it actually stopped one of the machines temporarily. If we could amplify that effect, combine it with our weapons. Everyone looked at the young creatures through the glass. Derry seemed to sense something and stood up, its fur turning a questioning yellow color. We can't ask them to fight, Hyunwoo said firmly. They're traumatized. They just lost everything. Tae-yang looked grim. We might not have a choice. If those machines come here, everyone is in danger, humans and these creatures alike. The meeting ended with a plan forming. They would spend 3 days preparing. Do-Yun and his team would build the lure and amplifiers for the creature's natural abilities. Yunha would organize a combat team. Jisoo would study the harvester technology more to find weaknesses, and Hyunwoo would try to help the young ones understand what was happening and see if any of them were willing to help. That night, Hyunwoo sat in the shelter with the young creatures. They had started to relax a little, especially around Baram. The dog had become like an ambassador between species. His simple joy and honest affection made the scared children feel safer. Dari approached Hyunwoo carrying something. It was a small device, crudely made but clearly intentional. The creature placed it on the ground and touched it. The device projected images, holographic pictures that showed Dari's people. Hyunwoo watched, his heart breaking. He saw adults teaching children to climb, to find food, to use their electromagnetic abilities to communicate. He saw celebrations with lights and music. He saw families. Then the images changed. The harvesters came. The adults tried to fight, tried to protect the young ones. But the machines were too strong, too many. One by one, the adults were captured and taken apart for their crystals. The young ones scattered into the forest. Dari had gathered as many as possible, but others were still lost out there. When the images ended, Dari looked at Hyunwoo with those intelligent amber eyes. The creature touched its own chest, then touched Hyunwoo's chest, then pointed at the young ones. The meaning was clear. We are the same. We both protect those we love. I understand, Hyunwoo whispered. I'll help you protect them. I promise. Over the next 3 days, the colony transformed. Engineers worked day and night building equipment. The combat team trained, and something unexpected happened. The young creatures started helping. They watched humans work and began imitating them. They learned to carry tools, to follow simple instructions. More importantly, they started to trust. Baram helped with this. The dog played with the young ones, showed them that humans were safe, and when Dari explained things in their chirping language, the children listened. On the 3rd day, Do-Yun presented his invention, a network of amplifiers that would boost the young ones' electromagnetic pulses. With this, 15 or 20 of them working together could shut down multiple machines at once, but it requires them to come with us, Hyunwoo finished. Dari stepped forward. The creature had been watching everything, learning. It picked up a piece of chalk and, to everyone's amazement, drew pictures on a board. Simple but clear. Pictures of machines, pictures of young ones using their powers, pictures of humans fighting together with Dari's people. It wants to help, Jisoo said, stunned. They all do. And it was true. The young ones gathered around Dari, their crystals glowing in agreement. They had lost their parents to these machines. Now they had a chance to fight back, to protect their new home and their new strange family. The combat team assembled at dawn. 20 humans with weapons and equipment, 15 young creatures wearing the amplifier devices, Daddy at the front of the alien group, and Bahram, refusing to be left behind, wearing a protective vest that Yunha had made for him. As they prepared to leave, Tai Yang approached Hyunwoo. "If this goes wrong—" "It won't," Hyunwoo said with more confidence than he felt. "But if it does, I want you to know, you were right to bring them here. Some rules are worth breaking." The journey into the forest was tense. They carried the lure device, a machine that broadcast amplified crystal frequencies. It worked. Within an hour they could hear the harvesters coming, drawn by the promise of valuable materials. The clearing they chose for the battle was perfect, open enough to move, but with large rocks for cover. Dion set up the lure in the center and activated it. Now they just had to wait. The machines came from all directions, more than they expected. At least 20 of them, maybe more. They moved with terrible purpose, their cutting tools extended and ready. "Positions," Yunha shouted. The humans spread out, weapons ready. The young creatures stood together, Dari in the center. Bahram stayed close to Dari, growling at the approaching machines. The first harvester entered the clearing, moving toward the lure. That's when Yunha gave the signal. Now, the young creatures' crystals began to glow, all pulsing together in the same rhythm. The electromagnetic wave they created was visible, a ripple in the air like heat waves. It hit the first machine, and the harvester's lights flickered. It stopped moving, confused. Human weapons fired. Explosions rocked the clearing. One machine fell, its legs blown off. Then another, but more machines kept coming. One got close to the young creatures. Dari leaped forward, clawing at its sensors. Bahram bit down on a wire, pulling hard. The machine swung at them, its claw whistling through the air. Hyunwoo ran forward without thinking, tackling Bahram out of the way. The claw hit him instead, and pain exploded across his back. He hit the ground hard, unable to. Part 4. What humanity does best. Hyunwoo woke up in the medical center 3 days later. His back hurt terribly, wrapped in bandages that felt too tight. The first thing he saw was Bahram's face, the dog's nose pressed against the side of his bed. The second thing he saw was Dari, sitting in the corner like a guardian statue, its fur a worried shade of blue-gray. "You're awake." Jisoo appeared beside his bed, looking exhausted. "You scared us." The machine's claw went deep. "Did we win?" His voice came out rough and painful. Jisoo smiled. "We won. All the harvesters in that area are destroyed." The young ones were incredible. Their combined pulse shut down almost half the machines. Our weapons took care of the rest. Hyunwoo tried to sit up and regretted it immediately. Every muscle screamed in protest. "Any casualties?" 3 humans injured, none dead. 5 of the young ones got minor wounds, but they're healing fast. "You were the worst." Jisoo's smile faded. "Dari hasn't left this room since we brought you back. It keeps trying to heal you with its crystals, but human and alien biology don't work the same way." He looked at Dari. The creature met his eyes, and its fur shifted to a lighter color. Relief, maybe. Bahram whined and licked Hyunwoo's hand. "It's okay, boy." "I'm okay." But the problems weren't over. Over the next week, as Hyunwoo recovered, tensions in the colony grew worse. Some people celebrated the victory and welcomed the young creatures. Others became more afraid. The battle had proven the aliens had power, and power scared people who didn't understand it. A group of colonists started demanding the creatures be moved to a separate area, far from human habitation. They called meetings, made petitions, and argued that keeping 2 species together was dangerous. The young ones sensed the tension. Their colors became muted, their movements nervous. They had started to feel safe, and now that safety was threatened again. The situation came to a head 2 weeks after the battle. A human child named Hanoel was playing near the shelter when one of the young creatures, a small one named Suri by the humans who fed her, tried to join the game. Suri reached out too fast, excited to play, and accidentally scratched Hanoel's arm with her claws. The scratch wasn't deep, but it bled, Hanoel cried. Her mother screamed. Within minutes, a crowd had gathered, angry and afraid. Suri cowered against the shelter wall, her fur turning dark with terror. She was only trying to play. She didn't understand what she'd done wrong. "This is exactly what we warned about," someone shouted. "These creatures are too dangerous." Dari pushed through the crowd, standing in front of Suri protectively. The other young ones gathered behind Dari, their colors flashing with fear and confusion. Baram barked, positioning himself between the crowd and the creatures. His teeth bared in a way Hyunwoo had never seen outside of the forest battle. Hyunwoo arrived, still moving slowly because of his injuries. Everyone calmed down. It was an accident. An accident that hurt a child, Hanul's mother said, holding her daughter close. We want them gone. It's not safe. Taeyang tried to mediate, but the crowd was too angry. They wanted the creatures removed immediately, sent back to the forest or relocated to a distant part of the colony. Some even suggested putting them in cages for everyone's safety. That's when something unexpected happened. Baram sat down in front of the shelter entrance. Just sat calm and still, refusing to move. His message was clear. You'll have to go through me first. Move your dog, someone said to Hyunwoo. I can't. He won't listen. It was true. Hyunwoo called Baram, but the dog ignored him completely, his eyes fixed on the crowd. Dari sat down next to Baram. Then, one by one, all the young creatures sat down too. They weren't being aggressive. They were just waiting. Waiting to see if humans would choose fear or compassion. The standoff lasted 10 minutes. Then Hanul pulled away from her mother and walked forward. Everyone gasped, trying to stop her, but she slipped through their hands. The little girl walked right up to Suri, who was still shaking with fear. Does it hurt? Hanul asked, pointing to her scratch. Suri made a small, sad chirping sound. Through the translator device Do-Yun had been building, rough words came out. Sorry, want play, sorry. Hanul looked at the scratch on her arm, then at Suri's claws, then at her own fingernails. Your claws are just really long fingernails. You didn't mean to hurt me. She reached out and gently touched Suri's paw. The young creature's fur shifted from dark terror to surprised yellow to hopeful green. Suri so carefully touched Hanul's hand with one finger. See? Hanul turned to the crowd. She's nice. She was just scared. The tension broke like a dam bursting. Some people started crying. Others looked ashamed. Hanul's mother covered her face with her hands, torn between maternal protection and the realization that her fear had almost caused something terrible. Taeyang seized the moment. We need to vote. Right here, right now. Do these creatures stay as equals or do we send them away? The vote took an hour. Arguments on both sides. Fear against compassion. Safety concerns against moral obligations. In the end, the vote was close, but compassion won. The creatures could stay as full members of the colony, not as prisoners or outsiders. But winning the vote didn't solve everything. The young ones needed proper shelter, education, and integration. This required work, time, and patience from everyone. Over the next month, the colony transformed itself. Engineers built new housing that accommodated both human and alien needs. Jisoo started a school where human and alien children learned together. Do-Yun's translator devices improved until real conversations were possible. Dari became something like a teacher and guardian for the young ones, helping them adapt while preserving their culture. Baram became a legend. The dog who refused to abandon his alien family, who sat in protest until humans chose the right path. Children of both species followed him around and he loved every minute of it. Hyunwoo watched all of this from his recovery bed, then later from a wheelchair, then finally on his own feet again. He saw walls coming down and bridges being built. He saw human children teaching alien children how to play football, and alien children showing humans how to find the best fruit in the forest. He saw two species learning to be one community, but he also knew it was fragile. One more accident, one more moment of fear, and it could all fall apart. Then something happened that changed everything. An exploration team found something in the deep forest. More young creatures hiding alone and terrified. Another group that had escaped the harvesters. There were 12 of them, even younger than the ones already at the colony. Dari went with the rescue team. When they found the children, Dari spoke to them in their chirping language, its crystals glowing with gentle, reassuring colors. The young ones were scared, but they recognized Dari as one of their own. The rescue team expected to have to carry the children back. Instead, Dari simply started walking home and the young ones followed. They walked right through the colony, past staring humans, straight to the shelter where the other creatures lived. One of the new arrivals was tiny, barely 2 feet tall, with crystals that barely glowed. It was sick, weak from hunger and fear. Dari brought it to Hyunwoo's quarters and laid it on his couch, the same couch where Dari had once recovered. The message was clear. You saved me. Now save this one. Hyunwoo called the medical team, and humans and aliens worked together through the night to save the small life. They succeeded. The tiny creature named Bitna, meaning light in Korean, became the colony's shared project. Everyone took turns feeding it, playing with it, keeping it safe. Bitna didn't know about the fear or the arguments or the divided vote. It just knew that big creatures of two different species loved it and kept it safe. And because Bitna felt safe, it was happy. Its happiness was contagious. You couldn't watch Bitna playing with human children and still believe the two species couldn't coexist. You couldn't see Bahram gently carrying Bitna on his back and still think the aliens were dangerous. Fear died in the face of simple, obvious joy. 3 months after the battle with the harvesters, the colony held a ceremony. They raised 2 flags, one human, one designed by Dari and the young ones together. They declared Viridian 7 a multi-species colony, the first of its kind. Dari stood on a stage beside Tai Yang, wearing a translator device. The creature spoke in its own language, but the translator turned it into words everyone could understand. We lost everything. Our families, our homes, our future. We were alone in the dark, waiting to die. Then Bahram found me, a small creature from another world who decided I was worth saving. He taught me that family is not where you come from. Family is who chooses to love you. Dari looked at Bahram, who sat at Hyunwoo's feet, tail wagging. Humans brought their animals to the stars. They brought their love for creatures different from themselves. This is their gift to the universe and the belief that different can still be family. The ceremony ended with a celebration. Music from both cultures, food shared between species, children of all kinds playing together as the sun set over an alien world that was finally starting to feel like home to everyone. Part 5. Found Family. Among the stars, 6 months had passed since the ceremony, and Viridian 7 looked like a completely different place. The colony had expanded, with new buildings designed for both species. Human domes now stood beside glowing tree structures that Dari's people built. Gardens mixed earth plants with local ones. Streets were full of both human and alien children, playing games that combined rules from 2 different worlds. Hyunwoo sat on a bench watching the sunset, which painted the sky in colors Earth never had, purple and green and gold all at once. Bahram lay at his feet, older now and moving a bit slower, his golden fur showing gray around the muzzle. The dog was 8 years old now, getting up there in age for his breed. Dari approached and sat beside Hyunwoo. The creature had grown significantly, now standing almost 5 feet tall. Its crystals were brighter, its movements more confident. Dari had become the leader of its people, the bridge between 2 species, the one who made impossible things possible. But despite all that growth and maturity, Dari still treated Bahram like the most precious thing in the universe. The creature gently groomed the dog's fur with its 6-fingered paws, making soft humming sounds. Bahram's tail thumped happily against the ground. You know he's not actually your puppy, right? Hyunwoo said with a smile. Dari looked at him with those intelligent amber eyes and touched its own chest, then touched Bahram's head, then touched its chest again. The translator device on its collar said heart chooses, not biology. Hyunwoo had to admit that was true. He'd studied the bond between them extensively. The initial electromagnetic attraction had long since faded into the background. What remained was pure, genuine love. Bahram had saved Dari from loneliness and death. Dari had given Bahram purpose and family. Neither one could imagine life without the other now. A transport ship appeared in the sky, descending toward the landing pad. This was the big supply ship from Earth, arriving every few months with new equipment and new colonists. Hyunwoo felt a flutter of excitement. His younger brother Jin-woo was on that ship. Jin-woo was a psychologist who specialized in studying relationships between different species, how humans bonded with their pets, how animals formed unusual friendships, that sort of thing. When he heard about what was happening on Viridian 7, he immediately requested a transfer. Now he was here to study the most unique multi-species community in human history. The ship landed and passengers started coming out. Hyunwoo spotted his brother immediately. Same smile, same way of walking, with hands in his pockets. Jin-woo saw him and ran over for a hug, then stopped short when he saw Dari. Oh, wow, Jin-woo breathed. The videos don't do them justice. Hello? I'm Jinwoo. Dari studied the new human carefully, then extended one paw for a handshake. Jinwoo took it, grinning like a kid meeting his hero. Barum, of course, was thrilled to meet a new person who would definitely give him attention and treats. Over the next few weeks, Jinwoo dove into his research. He interviewed colonists, observed interactions, and spent hours just watching the young aliens play with human children. But what fascinated him most was Dari and Barum. "It's remarkable," Jinwoo said one evening over dinner at Hyunwoo's place. Dari sat at the table too. The creatures had learned to eat human food, though they still preferred their native fruits. Barum lay under the table, occasionally receiving treats from both humans and Dari. "What's remarkable?" Hyunwoo asked. "The way Barum and Dari communicate. They've developed their own language, a mix of dog body language and alien color changes and sounds neither species normally makes. They've created something completely new together." It was true. Barum had learned to make clicking sounds to get Dari's attention. Dari had learned to wag its tail like a dog when happy. They'd invented gestures that meant specific things only to them. It was beautiful and strange and perfect. But not everyone arriving on the ships was happy about the multi-species colony. Some new colonists were uncomfortable with the aliens. A few were actively hostile, having come from Earth communities that believed humans should stay separate from other species. One man named Kyung-soo was particularly vocal. "This isn't natural," he argued in community meetings. "Humans and aliens shouldn't mix like this. We're losing our identity." "We're not losing anything," Tae-yang countered. "We're gaining family." The tension came to a head when another accident happened. A young alien named Minsu was playing with human children when he got excited and jumped, crashing into Kyung-soo's daughter Soo-jin. The girl fell hard and broke her arm. Kyung-soo exploded with rage. "See, I told you. These creatures are dangerous. My daughter could have been killed." The colony split again, old fears resurfacing. Some people sided with Kyung-soo. Others defended Minsu, pointing out that human children also had accidents all the time. Broken bones happened. It didn't mean anyone was dangerous. Minsu was devastated. The young alien's fur turned dark with shame and fear. He stopped playing, stopped eating, just sat in a corner making sad sounds. Dari tried to comfort him, but Minsu was convinced he was a bad person who hurt people. Barum approached the young alien carefully. The dog didn't speak any language except love, but sometimes that was enough. He lay down next to Minsu and rested his head on the alien's lap. Just stayed there, warm and present and forgiving. Slowly, Minsu's crystals started to glow again. The young one wrapped his arms around Barum and cried, not with sounds but with color. His fur shifting through shades of blue and purple that meant sorrow and gratitude and hope all mixed together. Soo-jin recovered within a few weeks. She surprised everyone by asking to visit Minsu. Kyung-soo tried to stop her, but his daughter was stubborn. "He didn't mean to hurt me. It was an accident, Dad. I want him to know I'm not mad." The meeting between them was awkward at first. Minsu couldn't stop apologizing through his translator. Soo-jin, her arm in a cast covered with drawings from both human and alien friends, just hugged him. "Friends hurt each other sometimes by accident," she said simply, "but we're still friends." Something broke in Kyung-soo that day. He watched his daughter embrace this alien child, saw how much it meant to both of them, and realized his fear was teaching his daughter to hate. He didn't want that. Whatever his concerns about the colony, he didn't want his daughter to grow up building walls instead of bridges. Kyung-soo came to Hyunwoo later that week. "I was wrong. Not about everything. I still think this is complicated and sometimes scary. But I was wrong to let fear make me cruel. Can you teach me about them? The real them, not the scary version in my head?" So Hyunwoo introduced him to Dari. They started slowly, just sitting together while Dari worked on various projects. The creature was incredibly patient, letting Kyung-soo ask questions, showing him their culture, explaining their history. Barum helped too, being his friendly self until even suspicious Kyung-soo had to smile. Jinwoo watched all of this and took notes constantly. "You know what I'm seeing?" he said to Hyunwoo one night. "I'm seeing the future of humanity. Not us conquering the galaxy, but us making friends with it. Building families across species. Creating something new that's better than what either species was alone." "That's poetic," Hyunwoo said with a smile. "Did you write that down for your paper?" "Absolutely." The real test came when scouts reported finding another group of Dari's people. But these were adults, survivors who had hidden in deep caves during the harvester attacks. There were maybe 50 of them, traumatized and wary. They had heard about the young ones living with humans but didn't trust it. Dari volunteered to go meet them. Hyunwoo wanted to come, but Dari insisted on going alone. Well, alone with Baram. The dog wouldn't let Dari go anywhere without him anyway. They were gone for 3 days. When they returned, they brought the adults with them. These older aliens were scared, suspicious, ready to run at any sign of danger. But they saw the young ones, healthy, happy, playing with human children, and their skepticism began to crack. The adult who seemed to be the leader approached Tae Yang. Through a translator, she said, "We lost hope. Thought our species would die. But young ones are safe here. Are learning. Are happy?" She paused, her fur shifting through uncertain colors. "You did this? Humans did this? Dari did this," Taeyang said. "And Baram. And all of us together." The leader looked at Dari, barely more than an adolescent by their standards, but who had saved so many young ones and built a bridge between species. Then she looked at Baram, this small earth creature who had started everything by deciding one scared alien was worth loving. "We stay," the leader decided. "We learn human ways. We teach you our ways. We make new way together." Over the next months, the colony exploded with growth and change. Adult aliens brought knowledge of their technology, their understanding of Viridian 7's ecosystem, their art and music. Humans shared their knowledge in return. Mixed species teams explored the planet together, built structures together, created things neither species could have made alone. Schools adapted to teach both species' children. Medical facilities learned to treat both types of biology. Laws were written to protect everyone fairly. It wasn't always easy. There were misunderstandings, arguments, and mistakes. But they kept working at it. Dari and Baram became symbols of what was possible. Artists made paintings of them,